Here are the 3 books that I know can change your life this coming year. Over the last 25 years, I have read a lot of books. Personal growth books, spiritual growth books, books about productivity, books about finances, books about relationships. And while I love reading and I love learning from these books, 99% of the books that I have read have not had as much of an impact on my life as these 3 books have. So as we look to the year ahead, I'll share some takeaways from each of these books that will hopefully show you some of the life-changing impact that these books can have in your life. But before we do that, let's make a deal. The first thing I need you to do is to read it or listen to the book. Pick one up, grab a copy. And the second thing is you need to apply what it is that you've learned, because it's only through the application of what we learn that we can make significant changes. Deal? All right, this first book I read for the first time this year, and it's The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Financial advice is often very technical, and it can make it seem like money is all about spreadsheets and numbers. We know that we should have a 6-month emergency fund and that we should be saving 10% of our income. We know that we should have a retirement account that is building to the almighty compound interest. But what Morgan points out is that financial decisions can't always just be made with calculators, spreadsheets, and graphs. We make decisions with our heads. You could know all the hacks to become financially successful, but if your behavior does not comply with what you know, then you'll never succeed. And this isn't just true in our finances, this is true in all areas of life. Now, my biggest takeaway from this book is that the most difficult financial skill to develop is to get the goalpost to stop moving. What does he mean by this? As your skill set grows and your ability to make income increases, we have this amazing ability to allow our expenses to increase right along with our increase in income. So we begin to make a little bit more money because we're better at what we do. Maybe we get a promotion or whatever that is, and we start to eat at slightly nicer restaurants. We start to take slightly nicer vacations. We get a slightly nicer car, maybe move into a slightly bigger home. And we allow ourselves to be driven by modern capitalism, driven by envy, driven by keeping up with the Joneses. And we end up on this hamster wheel of our own making. But I believe that there are a lot of people out there that are beginning to recognize and fully understand that their happiness is not tied to the accumulation of more. And building on this idea leads us to the second book on the list. But before we go there, have you hit the subscribe button yet? Because 2024 is going to be an absolutely amazing year, and I want to uplift and encourage you and walk through that journey with you. Let's get back to the books. Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less by Greg McKeown. Now, this is a book that I keep going back to year after year. You can see my copy is a little bit beat up, a little rough around the edges. I've read it, I don't even know how many times. And by far, my biggest takeaway that Greg shares from this book is that if you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. And Greg says that when we don't prioritize our life, we end up on this path that he calls the undisciplined pursuit of more. And that really ties into what Morgan was talking about in The Psychology of Money. And we end up driven by this idea, this social pressure that we should always be doing or having more in our life. But Greg points out that you can actually change this line of thinking. Now, how do you do this? It's by exercising our right to choose. Now, some of you thought I was going to say it's exercising and going to the gym. That's a whole nother video. We're not going there today. But it's this ability to choose that is inherent in each and every one of us, our opportunity for choice that Greg says is so special. And what he says is that what you choose to focus on, what you choose to prioritize and give your energy and attention to, that choice, it can never be taken away from you. It can only be forgotten. We can forget that we have that ability to choose. We can forget that we actually get to choose our attitude. We get to choose what it is that we focus on each day. We get to choose how we invest and spend our time. It can seem like semantics, but it's how you view the world and the little tiny things that you say to yourself on a day-to-day basis that make a massive difference. Let me give you a really practical example. Listen to these 2 phrases. The first phrase is, I have to go to work tomorrow. The second phrase is, I get to go to work tomorrow. Now, I talked about this in a previous video, but that first phrase completely gives away your power of choice. You allow someone else to prioritize your life. But when we exercise our own power of choice with the words that we say to ourselves, things like, I get to go to work tomorrow, we have then hope in the future. And I love what Zig Ziglar says. He says, where there's hope in the future, there's power in the present. Now, the third book is really important to me because it actually inspired me to write my own book, The Sewing Principle. The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And what I love about this book is that this book gives you the practical tools to take the gifts and skills and talents that God's given you, and He's given us all gifts, skills, and talents, but to take those and to go and make that impact in the world that you are looking to make. Now, the Slight Edge is all about the day-to-day decisions, the simple little tiny day-to-day decisions that we each make and how those play out over a lifetime. And what Jeff lays out is that the tiny decisions, the tiny disciplines that we have in our day-to-day life compound over time for massive impact. Now, the big takeaway in this book that I continue to see every time I pick it up is that you have to remember that the Slight Edge is relentless and it cuts both ways. So while the simple disciplines that you put into your life that are positive, that you build into your life, that end up building you as a person, if there are negative decisions that we make on a consistent basis, those will eventually break you. What you and I do today matters. So you want to make 2024 the best year of your life. There will be blessings and there will be challenges, but you aren't looking for easy. You're looking for impact. These books are a great place to start. I'll see you in the next video.